So welcome everyone. Glad you could join us today on this collaborative conversation on offering, the offering plate, and where we all are, especially with regard to post-COVID. I know a lot of our churches did new things during the COVID era, and looking forward to seeing what has stuck and worked for you and maybe what hasn't, and you've gone back to previous ways. Before we get started, I just wanted to make a couple of announcements. I will say that these collaborative conversations are brought to you by your presbytery. We are all part of the Connectional Church. I love seeing all of our different churches here, so thank you for connecting with us. They are paid for by your per capita dollars and your presbytery partnership giving. So this is the result of that, so thank you. I also wanted to just mention real quickly that we are almost at 3 years of these collaborative conversations. Numerous different topics.
The garden.
Great.
I would love to encourage you to open your chat actually right now if you haven't already. But I would love to encourage you to go onto our website and review our different topics. I will put the link to that in the chat. And we have numerous topics that your church possibly would find interesting. We talked about church security one time. We talked about insurance premiums that are going through the roof. We talked about finding a new pastor, redesigning your church entryway. I invite you to go and have a look at some of these topics, and your church might be interested in listening to some of them. So those are there for you as resources from the presbytery. So that is all for some simple announcements. But yes, thank you for being here. And yeah, we're going to talk about offering. So just to kind of get a feel for where we all are, who has stopped, just raise a hand, who has stopped passing the offering plate during worship? First, Portland has. Rise. Peter, what church are you with? Peter Myers, well.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Yeah, it's a new computer. You just have to pardon me. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going.
You're sounding good. What church are you with?
I'm with Eastwood Presbyterian Church in Vancouver.
Oh, Eastwoods, sure. Nice, nice. Glad to have you here, yeah. Okay, so about 3 of the people maybe here have stopped passing the offering plate. Who stopped and then started again? Yeah, so I think we have seen that maybe there is some virtue in passing the offering plate. Who's doing some form of online giving? Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad to see that. All right. So just with those few questions that we started with, is anybody dying to share something related to that at this time? This is a time for us to bring ideas and what's working and what's not working. So is anybody dying to say, this is what we did and this is what we're redoing? Sharon, I see your hand up.
Just one comment. We have stopped passing the plate except for high holy days, like on Easter Sunday when we had quite a few more people that don't generally attend. We did pass the plate then.
Okay. Interesting, yeah. Okay.
I see Robin's hand up as well, Sherry.
Robin, take it away. I do not see Robin. Thank you, though, Heidi.
Um, Actually, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This isn't about passing the plate or not passing the plate, but we do at Klatskanai, we do a call for offering, and then we pass the offering plate. The ushers do. The problem is, and I kind of want to see if I get some feedback on this Zoom call. We have in our bulletin when the offering is to be collected. We have it on the TV screen at the top when the offering is to be collected. Then we have a call for offering that is only given the reading by members of session, one each Sunday. And so when we changed over to our new session board, we set up a rotation system of the 5 of us. And then we actually pass the offering plates and we sing most times a song, We Are an Offering. So the problem is the call for offering. Personally, I'm wondering if this is something that needs to be put to rest. And the reason I say that is, like I said, we set up a rotation system. Well, it never fails. The Sunday that it's one particular session member's turn, they're not there. So then we have to jump to the next person, but then the next Sunday, the next person isn't there. And it's a constant shuffling of who can we get to do the call for offering. And the call, I see it in the chat. The call for offering is one of us stands up there and sometimes we just say something about giving to the church. Like last Sunday was my turn and I spoke about how it can be uncomfortable for individuals when the ushers come up to your pew and the plate is passed and maybe you gave a check the first of the month and here it is the second week, the third week, and so you're not giving, but you kind of feel uncomfortable because you aren't giving. And then of course we have congregants who cannot give financially. So then my point was, do not be uncomfortable. Smile at the ushers, relax, listen to the music that's being played while the offering is being collected, and give of yourself in other ways. Give of yourself by lending a hand. And so then I kind of went into the lending the hand. So, and then we always close with a prayer, and then the ushers come forward and do the collection. But I'm really finding it, I and another lady do the bulletins, and we're really finding it a challenge to stay with this rotation system because it never fails. The person that's supposed to be up isn't there. And the next person may not be there. And, and so the rotation doesn't work. And it tends to be 2 or 3 of us are constantly doing it while 2 or 3 are never in church on their Sunday. And so my thought is, do other churches do a call for the offering before the ushers actually do the offering? Or is the fact that it's noted in the bulletin on the TV screen, the ushers are walking down the aisle, getting ready to pass it? So, well, and I see another chat, and unfortunately, we're so small, we do not do online offering. We have actually 30 members, of which maybe 20 are active. So our church is very, very small. So I just wanted to throw it out and see if anybody had any thoughts. If maybe this is something we should consider not doing anymore, and the pastor when he does his prayer, he can do his prayer, and then he can just ask the ushers to come forward. So,
Peter,
thank you.
Peter.
Uh, I understand. I understand exactly what she's saying. Uh, this is my third year as being finance elder, and so we've kind of grappled with it a little bit. We tried the rotation, and we tried just having somebody who was up there at the end of a reading would go ahead and do it. A couple things have changed in our church. We have rostered 75 people. What that equates to, as far as I can tell, because I see all the figures coming in, we may get maybe 45 people on any given normal Sunday. It's changed the dynamics over the past few years. We have the pastor basically does the call for offering. We've tried everything else, and so she says a prayer, and then she does, and the ushers come forward and get it. As far as people not putting anything in the plate, which everybody used to think that's a no-no if you don't put anything in the plate. But with RMDs and QCDs, and even if you don't do online giving, we do have a lot of members that choose to have their bank send a check ACH to the church. So the ushers stand at the end of the pews, and we found that people have gotten used to it. Nobody feels bad because I don't put anything in the plate. My bank sends a check. I don't even think about it, and it doesn't bother me that I don't. And I think our church has just kind of come over the past year and a half into, if you want to put a check in the plate and that's how you want to do it, that's great. But I don't think anybody in our church thinks anything if I'm sitting there and I don't put anything in and the person next to me doesn't. Most of our people kind of get up and just hand the check to them and go on their merry way. So uh, we just kind of live that way. And pastor is happy enough giving the call to uh, offering, and we have either somebody play the piano, which is our normal way of doing it, and then there's a prayer, and that we're done. So it works for us, whether you do online giving or not. Uh, I don't know that really makes a big difference. We do get online offerings, but people don't send them on Sunday. We may get them on Tuesday. It makes a little different for us when we have to go to the bank 2 or 3 times a week, which is not a bad thing. But we think we've hit a happy medium with it.
Great, great. Thank you, Peter. Boy, there was some good information for you there. Enjoyed that. And I see a lot of really great comments popping up in the chat. So thank you for that. Priscilla, you've been waiting. Thank you.
Yes, I wasn't certain if we were just supposed to jump in or raise our hand. Um, I our pastor does, announces that we're going to take up an offering. We don't have I don't know why it would be session members' responsibility to do that, but I guess it's just tradition in different churches. Um, if you're one of the deacons or one of the uh, people who are passing the plate, you just smile at people and hand it to them, and they smile back. If they don't put anything in, they don't put anything in. Perhaps they give monthly, perhaps they give online like I do. I don't ever feel bad about not putting anything in the plate because we have an online giving system set up. And what we do during the offering is that's when our special music is. So if somebody's singing a solo, we're doing a piano solo or whatever, guitar, trumpet, whatever. But we're not a large enough church to have to worry about things like that. We just, people give what they want to give, and what we do is after the offering's been taken up by the ushers, then they bring it forward as we sing the doxology as a congregation. So that's But I think it's just a matter of tradition for different congregations, and there's really no right or wrong way to do it, and there's no reason to feel guilty about not giving in that manner.
All right, thank you, Patricia. Um, Sharon. Oh, no. Let me circle back first to Mary. My screen adjusted, so I lost track of you, Mary. Mary, welcome. Mary, for those who don't know, she is our new stewardship officer from the PCUSA. So she's been in her job now for maybe a month or two. So welcome, Mary. And what do you have for us?
Thank you. I wish it were a month or more. It's 3 weeks. So, but the great news about being on this particular call and only having been on for 3 weeks is that 5 weeks ago, I was doing this in my church as a pastor. So I have not yet lost touch with the discussions about offering and what to do for offering. I actually wanted to share in response to the question of just let it go. Obviously, a church can only do what a church can do, but I really feel like I'm a stewardship geek, and I will admit that from the get-go. I'm also a spiritual director, and I think that our giving and our generosity are not just practical, let's keep the lights on in the church, let's pay the pastor kind of moments. They're very much moments that help us grow in our relationship with God. So I was a big proponent, even during COVID, when we were meeting in little boxes like this, of having a moment for the offering being a moment to just discuss. For me, kind of the baseline for all of it is gratitude. So having a moment, sometimes it could be longer, and sometimes it was simply, I'm really grateful this morning that we can be here together. And so in that spirit of gratitude, we now take our tithes and our offerings for God. But to actually let that be a part of what is done, because I have to wonder a little bit in the situation you're describing, if the people aren't there on purpose because they don't know what to say and they don't know what to do, and it's intimidating. I would also echo in the chat, I clearly see people saying it doesn't have to just be elders. This might be the kind of thing where the 2 or 3 of you who do it all the time are naturally gifted for this and just have that connection with God through giving and an understanding of what that does. And it might be enough for the 3 of you to do the rotation and not insist on others, or to find out others in the congregation who have that. So that really struck me about your question, that I love that you do it. I'd hate to see you let it go, because I think otherwise we do have a tendency as churches to turn stewardship into, we got to keep the lights on. And people aren't generally inspired by that, and they don't necessarily understand the connection to worship if it's just that.
Thank you for that, Mary. Sharon.
Yeah, 2 Sharons here today. Yeah, so I'm on the post of Let It Go, and I was only speaking of if every Sunday a session member has to make a comment, that seems too burdensome. And once a month, once a quarter, and have that person more committed to speaking. But anyway, I just wanted to mention, if you do not have online giving, you don't have to be able to do PayPal or Venmo. You know, our Presbyterian Foundation offers no startup fees, low cost, just a small per transaction for online giving. They give you pew cards. You get free pew cards at the beginning that have a QR code. You can put that QR code in your newsletter and your bulletin. You know, it's super easy to get online that way, right? You don't have to do anything special. And I'm one of the people that I write a check out every month. And then, yeah, I do feel like the plate comes by and I'm like, oh no, not today. You know, you want to go, oh, I put my check in last Sunday. But Plymouth, when I moved up here like 5 years ago, I love the fact that they do this change for change. And we bring our coins, and I even try to pay cash to make sure I have a few coins for Sunday. And then every Sunday I can put some coins in there. And then every quarter, at least $200 to $300. And Robin, we're like 30 people in the pews, if that, right? And so it's an opportunity that everybody can get. It's kind of like the least coin of Presbyterian women, and that eases my like desire that I need to put something in the plate. And there are little cards you can put in the plate if you give online, but most people don't do that. So anyway, those were just the things that I wanted to comment on, and I am looking forward to more discussion here on, is it a foe, a friend, or people that let it go and then brought it back? I'd like to hear more about that too.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Sharon. And thank you, Sharon, for giving a lovely introduction to Heidi Bolt, our Presbyterian Foundation representative, who is in attendance on this meeting as well. Thank you, Heidi, for joining us. I think I'm going to go ahead and let's hear from Wendy, because I have a feeling she is following the topic of conversation. So let's hear from Wendy, and then maybe we'll turn it over to Heidi depending on what happens. So Wendy, nice to see you here with us today.
Thanks, Sherry. And I think maybe it is Heidi will answer my question. So primarily why I'm on this call, what I'm interested in is not the mechanics of collecting funds for the church. For years, it has felt like the liturgical power of the offering is sort of lost. I understand historically why we did it. People brought chickens and eggs and money, and you did this meaningful thing. Well, that's not the reality anymore. So much of it is, but electronically. So what I'm interested in is hearing ideas and ways to harness and present the spiritual power of offering and how to make that part of the service where it feels like we are encountering and communicating with the divine. I don't have those ideas. That's what I'm interested in hearing. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for that, Wendy. Let's see. Heidi, what do you think? Should we address Wendy's or allow Wendy's new topic of conversation to be addressed, or shall we?
Yeah, I think that would be great, because I think Wendy's question is right on.
Yeah.
I think that's why we're having this collaborative conversation, is because we used to all do it pretty much the same, and then now we all do it a little bit different, and we're all still trying to figure out if the little bit different is what works for us, if we want to go back, if we want to try something new. We're all, I think, in a moment of experimentation. Wendy, what brought to mind when you asked your question was how critical context is, because every congregation has its own culture and its own experience and its own tradition, and what might work for First Presbyterian downtown Portland when it comes to that spiritual connection to the offering might be radically different than how it is lived out in Clatskanie, or how it's lived out in your church in Chapel by the Sea. But finding things that connect, because ultimately, as you know, offering wasn't in the original Ordo, right? But it is a part of that response to God that we incorporated when it was chickens and eggs and a way we collected funds. And now we have to rethink it again for a new world when so many people are giving online or through AFT. I think that question about context, and for each congregation, do you have a lot of visitors? Are these, all these kinds of questions about how we understand that moment, I think is great. So I look forward to hearing experiences from different churches. I've already written down several ideas. I love the change for change idea. I saw in the comments that, things go to different deacons. I love how we think about this in a new time and a new context. So Sherry, I'll let you
Thank you.
moderate
Thank you,
that, but thank you, Wendy.
Is there anyone else in the room that would like to take a stab at Wendy's question? Turning it back into a form of worship, I think I'm hearing, rather than an obligation, or, well, let's let's
I
maybe
mean, I
let us
would
all.
say the whole point of starting with gratitude piece of it has always seemed super important to be a powerful reminder of why we do it. Because it's easy to say we do it to accomplish something versus we do it because we have something, time, talent, money, whatever it is to give from God.
I might just mention briefly to Laura, I hope you're all monitoring the chat because I see some really good comments going in there. You will get a copy of your chat after this meeting is over. I will mention to Lori Brise that there is a collaborative conversation or just a lot of talk lately on how to utilize our churches, not only for the good of the community, but also to bring in extra forms of income. So I think there's a collaborative conversation on re-envisioning your church property. But we also have some other ideas that might be able to help you. I think some of our churches make some really good income to sustain themselves through things crazy like pickleball. So yeah, it is becoming our properties are kind of a mixed blessing because some of them especially take a lot of work to maintain them at this stage of their lives. So I understand that. Liz.
Yeah, I think Wendy's question is really a great one, and I want to kind of keep thinking about that. I was just going to mention, rather than trying to figure out what to do about the money collection as the offering, one thing that we've tried is just to add a bunch more stuff into that slot where we're saying gathering of the offering. So putting things under that heading like uh, ordaining and installing new officers, commissioning people for mission. Often we'll sometimes put prayer requests in there that are related to caregiving. So, sort of emphasizing all the things we do that are responsive to the good news are part of our offerings, and then finished out with some sentence like, and you also give money, which is great. Thank you for that. This is super. There's so many different ways we're caretaking, thank our musicians. So adding into that to sort of flesh out what the theological concept of offering is, and then we don't pass a plate. That seems a little antiquated for us, but saying there's money coming in these various windows and in the email, and that's great too. But we try to use that's how sort of where we've come down liturgically. But that's a great, I mean, I love that question. I'm going to keep thinking about that.
Thank you, Liz.
Things I try to do every Sunday is in that sense of call for the offering, talk about giving money, but every Sunday I try to have a, a question or a challenge about giving that's related to the scripture that says, and this week, pledge to do XYZ that's related to what we just heard the challenge of scripture. I don't know if it means anything to anybody, but that's one of the things that we try and do.
Rick at North Bend, to answer your question, no, the presbytery doesn't have something like that, but that is a good segue into letting Heidi Bolt from the Presbyterian Foundation, explain how she can help you with that. So, Heidi.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to read the chat and do a whole bunch of things. So what's the specific question in the chat?
He said, well, I think
Oh,
he's
about
just looking
online
for an
giving.
online giving
Oh, wonderful.
opportunity. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, absolutely, yes. Rick and others, I'm happy to help you. One of the things that the Presbyterian Foundation offers is an online giving portal for churches. It's through Banco, which is a national PCI compliant group, so a very safe way of collecting online donations. Sign up with the Presbyterian Foundation. I can send you a link about how to sign up. They take 2%, which is lower than most other credit card processing ways. If you don't have, we'd love it on to have, we recommend it's on your website. If you don't have a website, we have, you can buy a little dongle thing that can go on a phone or an iPad if you want to take donations that way. But we can work with you to set up online giving through the Presbyterian Foundation, and I'd love to chat more. I can put in the chat too a little PDF of explains a little bit more if that's helpful.
Okay, well, send the link, please.
I will absolutely do that.
So, yes, any of our churches that do not currently have a form of online giving, from everything in preparation for this meeting that I read online, if you're not offering an online giving option, you're missing out. And you can improve your giving by having that option. And thankfully, the Presbyterian Foundation has figured out a way to help you with that is simple and easy to use and low cost. A lot of times we talk about the 2%. Many people choose to cover that 2% fee, so you don't really have to even worry about the fees associated with it. It's just a matter of saying,
we do have online giving. It's just through PayPal, which seems somewhat limiting.
well, I'm glad you brought that up, because after talking about Vanco, I'm also curious to know what other forms of online payment our churches offer. So it looks like North Bend is doing PayPal. What else? I read that the younger generations in particular are looking for various options for online giving, not just PayPal, or they talked about digital wallet giving. Who else?
Sherry, is Cam in Medford. We use Breeze as one of our databases, and I attended a Breeze stewardship workshop about 3 weeks ago. Most of the participants there, who are younger congregations, I will admit, are doing things with QR codes, and they're finding that phones are the way people are giving. That may not fit our older congregations. Mine is quite old, but that's a fact of where we are among the ecumenical community.
So when you do PayPal, what kind of fee are you incurring? Rick, or others that use PayPal? Or is it the same thing? You pay maybe it's the 3.5%, but the person then can elect to cover it? Okay. Jason, what are you doing? Lake Grove.
All right. So we have various options when it comes to giving. So we have a give via text, where you can text a number and give. We have online ACH debit. We also do a hybrid approach with the plate, where our traditional service has we pass the plate, and then our modern service, where a lot of individuals do the QR code or other form of online giving, we have kind of removed passing the plate, but we still have a giving box in the back for those that want to give. We just we have Google Pay and working on Apple Pay. And we also have, obviously, QCDs are like stock as options as well. So we're also looking into other technology for the younger generation that does use their phone quite a bit, through like a tap to give NFC technology, where they have it on a card, kind of like a QR code, but it's just taps. And then that's another option that I'm kind of looking into. They have different companies out there, but I think we'd probably build our own and tie it to what system we currently use. So those are a couple of options that we currently use, and then obviously we're looking into different options to see if we can just to ensure we can get all the the younger generation as well to not be a hurdle.
I visited, let's see, I visited Bend First a few months back. I noticed that they had quite a young congregation there, many families. Anybody here from Bend First that would like to speak to your various methods of giving?
I'm from Ben First Presbyterian. So we have a lot of people who give online. I mean, you can do a QCD. That's from like your stocks or your retirement funds. And when you do it that way, that it's taken off the top it's a credit for your taxes. So that's beneficial. So we have we have something called Church Track that we use. We just switched from push pay, and doing that transition has been challenging, but it's not that hard to use. So we use that, and then we're really in the process of trying to find new sources of revenue to keep the church sustainable long term, because we in all churches have declining revenue, especially since the pandemic. And so I've been involved in a group. We've used a program called Good Futures. But it's really difficult to find anything that's going to raise extra revenue quickly. So, and a lot of things will require you to put in some money before you can raise revenue. So we're thinking of all sorts of things, but it's a really difficult charge to find ways to raise new revenue. And churches are closing everywhere, so that's important.
If you feel that a collaborative conversation might be interesting on that topic in specific, how to raise revenue using your property, put it in the chat or send me an email or something along those lines. It would definitely be something we would consider. Why would we not share what's working for one church with another church with the hope that they can make things better for them? So we are the connectional church. Okay.
I have a question about that. It's like, so say we have a big campus and we've talked about possibly selling some of our land, but the land actually belongs to Presbytery. So can a church use the fund for their church mission that they raise from selling property, which is truly Presbytery property?
Does anybody here want to speak to that? I can, but okay, I would love, maybe Susan Tyndall, go ahead.
Yeah. So I did some exploratory on this, and the place you want to go to is the trustees of the Presbytery. They have, and Liz is on here too. She could also, but basically there's an application that you walk through that lets Presbytery know that you're considering this and where you want that to go. And then they process that application through the trustees, and they have resources for that. They have like realtors they've worked with, and they do want to help churches who are considering selling property and help them do that, navigate that well. So that's where you should go.
Amanda, did I see your hand up?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, to kind of the specificity of the question, the typical approach has been that if you sell property, it can be utilized to fund your current property. It cannot be used for the operating expenses of your budget.
Peter?
I'll agree with that because we have those who haven't been to our church. When we bought the land, we got a lot of woods with it, which we didn't need. And so about 5 years ago, we did just that process going through the trustees, and we did sell some of the land. There's a housing development back there, but we still have more land than we really need to have. But there are rules and regulations, and uh, I would really think that if anybody's considering it, it probably would be a good idea to have a separate discussion on it because part of ours we had to put in a capital fund for presbytery, and part of it went into uh, a building fund, which you cannot use that money for paying your bills. I mean, we've had to educate everybody in our church that just because that money is there, it's not there to pay the electric bill. It's there for other uses, and the building fund is strictly a process where we could tell when we built the church is 20 years old, and they don't build them to last, unfortunately. So we have just come through uh, in the past year and a half a roof, HVAC, you name it, we had to put it in. But it's it would be a good discussion if churches are considering doing that. That maybe somebody could broker or presbytery or somebody could broker it and answer questions. All I know is going through it, they were very helpful. They gave us everything we needed. Uh, yeah, they do own land. If we were to go under, Presbytery would have to inherit what we have, but we found them nothing short of leading us in the right direction, and so it's worked out very well for us. But I think it would be a topic that if you're in a position like we were in, land that we were paying taxes on, because in Washington you pay tax on everything, uh, we just never were going to use it. And so we had an offer that somebody wanted to buy a piece of ours, which Sessions shut it down. We don't want to sell any more land, but we do know what the process is. And I really would recommend somewhere down the road that maybe it would be good subject material to get people on there that deal with that from the trustee level or whatever level it comes from, and just kind of go over what you can do and what you can't do and what you can use the money for, because that is, we found that to be a misconception in our church, and we did have to really re-educate people that it's not there for the bills. So it's just speaking from my experience. I've had to get up there on a lot of Sundays and tell them, no, 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 you can't do this. So it would be helpful if you haven't done it before to understand what you're getting into with the right people on a Zoom session or however you do it, to just kind of explain the process and what the funds can and can't be used for before you undertake it.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Thank you. Uh, Note to self, trustees in the room, thank you for joining us today. That's timely. Julie from Rise Church.
Yes, who on the Board of Trustees, and if they're on this call, my apologies, could tell us definitively, like maybe in a policy document or whatever, what money from a land sale may or may not be used for? Peter's right, but I've been asked to track down something on paper or something from someone of, forgive me, Peter, of authority who could put the dispute to rest.
Yeah, Liz.
Hi, I'm Liz Levitt. I'm at Rose City Park in Northeast Portland. I don't have this document in front of me. I believe there was at one time a policy that articulated what Amanda just said, that property sales could be used for for capital improvements or other capital investments. I think the reason there's been some confusion is that the trustees more recently have been willing to be more flexible uh, when the church is able to articulate an alternative use for those funds that makes some amount of sense. So I think there is still a feeling that if you are selling off capital assets in order to fund your operating budget, that might not be a healthy trajectory, but there is an ability to be flexible. If somebody can get me your contact information, I can try to find whatever the policy used to be, at least as a starting point.
Thanks, Liz. Yeah, Julie, we will hunt that down for you. So after this conversation, I will send out a wrap-up email to everyone who registered, highlighting the specifics of what we talked about, and hopefully by the time I send that out, maybe we can have that document available to include with that email. What else?
I guess I have a question for those out there. For those of you that have a website that you use, or maybe a live stream or YouTube your service on Sundays, do you have a donation option or button or QR code in your live stream with YouTube, and how beneficial or successful has that been?
That's a good question. Yeah, the QR code, it's been revolutionary, right?
I see Liz Levitt's hand up.
Yeah, Liz.
We also used YouTube and haven't found a great solution for that, but we do have a lower third that directs people via a bit.ly link to the giving page.
And we use a QR code on everything we have, including YouTube and our live stream, and it does bring in revenue.
Thank you. Thank you. I know if you have non-profit or Google nonprofit and YouTube, there's a little donate button that you can select that'll automatically embed that within your YouTube video. We're just kind of looking into it. I know we discussed it about a year or two ago, and it was a no-go, but we're kind of re-looking into that. So I just wanted to get some insight. So thank you.
Bernie.
Hi. Thanks, Sherry. I don't know if this is a place to ask about it, but it seems to be a bit of a problem in our church, and that is the per capita giving. How do you get people to give for that particular thing?
Siri, did I see your hand up? Feel free, jump in here. Siri's with our Aloha Church.
For a number of years, we actually had that as a on the stewardship card, something they could check saying that they would pay they offered to pay their per capita. The alternate was, of course, that it would just be part of their it just included with their regular giving. And we had a number of people who did that. We got roughly half of our per capita was covered that way. We did it for a number of years. This year was the first year that we didn't do it. But we still sort of made a couple of pushes to invite people to contribute, and we did even better this year. So I think that we didn't have to do it, but I think that it helped that we'd primed the pump in that way for several years beforehand.
Who else? Any creative ideas for addressing?
I see Eileen Shear's hand up.
Eileen.
We make a point of interpreting per capita and being very clear about not only what it supports, but who it supports, because our particular congregation is fairly connected to Presbytery. So when we talk about it supporting this person's salary, and remember what this person helped us with, we try to make it personal. Gosh, the last 4 or 5 years, we've collected between 40 and 50%. And last year we got 60% with, and I'm not a very hard-nosed collector. So there's a couple, three reminders and a couple, three interpretations, and then we get what we get, but we find that the interpretation is key.
I agree with that. And that's been another thing I've been thinking about, maybe having a collaborative conversation on what is per capita and partnership giving. And if you have new members in your congregation, which of course we want to see new members who are maybe not from the Presbyterian tradition, just a video, a conversation like this, we could point them to say this is what partnership giving is, and per capita. It is something that I found very interesting when I came into this job. So I'm sure other non-Presbyterian background folks would feel the same. Heidi, did you want to jump in?
Well, I have a quick question about that. Can somebody, maybe Sherry, you could, if you had some suggestions about how that should be worded, we could put it in the newsletter. We could do all kinds of things with it, but I would need more detail on how to
If
approach
you
that.
Google, I hate to say this, but don't search in the PCUSA website, although it's getting better. If you Google PCUSA per capita, they will, there's a lot of things that work, from little blurbs to big blurbs to stories about per capita. And it is available there. It's a little hard to find in our website, but Google does a good job of finding it.
Yeah, thanks, Eileen. So I will mention First Presbyterian Church. We've been in downtown Portland. We've been working with is he a parish associate there? Jeff Seaver. And I think he is going to, or he has written for your weekly newsletter, that exact article. What is per capita? I shall ask him if I can include that in the wrap up to this conversation, in the email wrap up.
I'm sure he'd be happy to let you do that.
Okay,
he's on the stewardship committee.
Yeah.
And he put
a lot of thought and time and effort into it. And there again, why would we not share that if it could be of use to people? Maybe
Absolutely.
that was the other thing I wanted to say too, but is if you're not getting our Cascades Connection, our weekly newsletter, which is how the Presbytery communicates with our members throughout the Presbytery, put it into the chat that you'd like to receive it, or send me an email, respond to my wrap-up email, and I'd be happy to add you to that mailing list. You can easily unsubscribe to never be subscribed again except by you, if that makes you feel better about subscribing to that. But we would encourage you, if you have interest. It's how we communicate with those in our Presbytery. Heidi, were you going to say something? No? Okay, you just moved up on my screen to the top corner like you had your hand up or something. So, okay, no worries, no worries.
Nope.
And if anybody, regarding any of these topics, if we leave this call and you say, oh, I wish I had brought up, send it to me, or why didn't I tell people about this? Send it to me and I'll include it in the wrap-up. If you're like me, after you give it some thought, you can really come up with some other ideas. We are getting close to the hour. I wanted to just ask, is there anybody who put something in the chat? I haven't been able to monitor the chat that closely. Is there anyone who put something into the chat you'd really like to know about, but we haven't addressed it yet? Please don't be shy. I would love to see it thrown out there for people to address.
I would like to have Heidi and Mary's contact information, so that if we have questions or need assistance, we have a way to reach out to them.
Sure.
Thank you, Priscilla. And I see that Mary has put hers in, and I just put mine in the chat as well. So yeah, I think both of us would love to chat with you.
Yeah, you made our day. I mean, I'm only 3 weeks in, so I even have time to chat.
Yeah, and I'm only 3 months in, Mary, so we're
Yeah,
both
so there we go.
newbies with enthusiasm to make these connections. So
we will get a printout of the chat. Is that correct?
You should get a printout of the chat on your computer after this. Isn't that correct? I always do, but I'm assuming everyone else does as well. Is that not correct?
I think
don't.
may only be the hosts that get that, Sherry.
Oh, is that right? Okay, then I
So-
shall include a raw copy of the chat with my email wrap up. Sure. And you will have all the ability to access those links and contact information then from the chat.
That would be great because it's hard to keep up with the conversation and also read the chat
Totally.
and pull the information out that you want. So
Totally, I understand.
If you look at the top of your chat, there's 3 little dots. And if you click on those 3 little dots, it will say Save Chat. And you can then save it onto your own computer or let Sherry send it out in her wrap up, which would probably be a really good idea. This is a really good conversation.
Yeah, you can save it to your computer, but then finding it is another story. So
It's in a folder called Zoom.
yeah, so under my computer maybe. Good luck, everyone. High five if you find it. So, okay, what else? What else? What a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. All right, let's go ahead and leave it there. I'd like to invite Heidi to close in prayer for us, if you would. But before that, I would just like to say thank you again for joining us and for your questions and input. I love seeing our churches connect this way and sharing ideas and asking questions. Stay tuned for my email wrap up. And this video from this conversation will also go onto our website under the collaborative conversation page of our website. So you can find it there if you ever want to reference it here in the future. So, all right. Thanks again for being with us, Heidi.
Certainly. Let us pray. Gracious God, we give you thanks. Our hearts are full of gratitude for the opportunity to gather in this way, for the opportunity to share what we know and ponder together about how we respond to your incredible graces in our lives, the many blessings that we have. Thank you for helping us to be a generous people and to continue to live out your mission in the world. Bring us back together in whatever form they might be, in whatever way, as we, the presbytery, continue to support one another as we seek to show your love far beyond the bounds of this place. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you,
all.
Heidi.